Good afternoon and welcome to IBA News. It's Sunday, the 8th of May. I am Elon Aslan-Levy, and you are joining us live from Jerusalem. The government convened today to discuss the upsurge in violence from Hamas in the Gaza Strip. IBA political correspondent Kalev Ben-David reports.
The tensions in the south were a focus of today's cabinet meeting, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declaring at the start that the Israeli military will continue to act as necessary to uncover the terror tunnels from the Gaza Strip. Netanyahu added that the government is investing all the needed resources to protect communities in the south. And while Israel is not looking for an escalation, it will do whatever it takes to ensure security. The Prime Minister did not relate to media stories citing leaks from the unreleased State Controller's report, which criticized the government's handling of the 2014 conflict with Hamas in Gaza. According to the controller, Netanyahu failed to keep the cabinet informed about the danger posed by the Hamas terror tunnels in the days leading up to Operation Protective Edge and keep it properly up to date during the conflict. Opposition politicians pounced on the controller's report, saying it justified a wider investigation into the conduct of the Gaza operation. Energy Minister Yuval Steinitz said media accounts of the report were slanted and that the relative quiet in the south over the past 2 years proved that Protective Edge was successful. Netanyahu also related to the controversial comments made last week by Deputy Chief of Staff Major General Yair Golan, who in a speech to mark Holocaust Remembrance Day said he saw certain trends in Israel similar to those in Germany and Europe leading up to the Second World War. Netanyahu told the cabinet that Golan's remarks cheapened the Holocaust and were not appropriate at the time he made them or any time. While Golan is a highly decorated officer, his remarks were completely erroneous and unacceptable, the Prime Minister said. During the cabinet meeting, Cultural Minister Miri Regev reportedly called for Golan's resignation, while other ministers suggested he be given an official reprimand. This is Kalev Ben-David for IBA News.
Hamas does not seek war with Israel, but would not tolerate Israeli troops entering Palestinian territory, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh said over the weekend. His statements came in the midst of the recent upsurge in violence following the army's announcement of another cross-border tunnel discovered near the Sufa crossing Thursday. It is the second attack tunnel to be discovered in the past month. Over the weekend, Israel launched a number of airstrikes on Hamas targets in Gaza in response to rocket, mortar and sniper fire at Israeli forces. The last incident occurred shortly after midnight Saturday, when a mortar shell was fired at the Eshkol region, exploding in an open area, causing no casualties or damage. On Friday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened the Security Cabinet to discuss the latest escalation. Israel stressed it intends to continue searching for other cross-border tunnels dug by Hamas. Israel has a new head of the General Security Service. Nadav Argaman took over the Shin Bet yesterday from Yoram Cohen. Argaman, a resident of the central city of Rosh Ha'ain, joined the agency in 1983 after serving as an officer in the IDF General Staff's reconnaissance unit. He rose through the agency's ranks and served as chief of Shin Bet operations between 2003 and 2007. After that, he spent 4 years as the Shin Bet representative in the United States before being appointed deputy head of the organization. In 2014, he served at the Israel Atomic Energy Commission. The Shin Bet agency is chiefly responsible for dealing with Palestinian terror in Israel and in the West Bank and Gaza, gathering intelligence and taking part in arrest operations and assassinations of terror leaders. It is also responsible for the protection of the nation's leaders. Now it's official. President Reuven Rivlin's office confirmed today that it has received a request from former President Moshe Katsav to be granted a pardon. Katsav is currently serving a 7-year sentence for rape and sexual misconduct charges and is due to be released in 2018. Rivlin's spokeswoman said the request had been handed over to the president's legal team for evaluation. The Prison Parole Board recently turned down a request by Katsav for an early release. Last week, his lawyers said they intended to lodge a request with Rivlin, citing the former president's deteriorating mental health as a reason for his early release. Sheikh Salman As-Sabah, Kuwait's Minister of Information, visited the Temple Mount Saturday and later met with Palestinian Authority officials in Ramallah. According to a Channel 10 report, As-Sabah arrived with a delegation from the Gulf Emirate and attended the 10th annual Palestine International Book Fair in Ramallah. As-Sabah's visit signalled the long-standing commitment of Kuwait's leadership and people towards supporting the Palestinian people in their legitimate struggle, Kuwait's news agency said. In 2014, Kuwait's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister also visited Ramallah and the Temple Mount. The United States and Britain came to Israel's defense after Rafael Ramirez, the Venezuelan ambassador to the United Nations, asked if Israel sought a final solution against the Palestinian people. The meeting on Friday was called last month by Venezuela, Egypt, Malaysia and Senegal. Ramirez also slammed the Security Council for failing to devise a solution to deal with Israel's illegal settlement policy and violence against the Palestinians. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, was not present at the meeting, but the US political advisor present said his country rejects any comparison between the actions of Israel and Nazi Germany, noting that Israel has a right to defend itself in the face of terrorism. The UK representative said his country finds such comments highly offensive. Over the past week, Palestinian officials have been leading efforts to pass a Security Council resolution against Israel's settlement policy, although this has yet to be formally presented to the Security Council. A group of Nobel Prize laureates, including Israeli Aaron Chechanova, who won the Prize for Chemistry in 2004, revealed they had visited North Korea last week to bring a non-political academic diplomacy drive to the nuclear-armed Hermit Republic. He was accompanied by laureates Finn Kydland and Richard Roberts. In Pyongyang, the delegation discussed an exchange program with North Korean universities. At a press conference in Beijing, China yesterday, Chechanova described the people of North Korea as peace-hungry, saying that they have no idea what the world looks like. Sheikh Raed Salah, head of the proscribed northern branch of the Islamic movement, began serving a 9-month jail sentence today at the Ohalei Kedar detention center near Beersheva. Salah was convicted on charges of incitement over a sermon he delivered in 2007. Hundreds of people gathered outside the prison in a display of support for the Islamist leader, including Arab lawmakers from the Joint List Party. Last month, the Supreme Court cut 2 months off Salah's original 11-month sentence, but rejected an appeal against his conviction. The son of mob kingpin Rico Shirazi was killed when shot from a passing car in North Tel Aviv last night. Shai Shirazi, aged 30, was hit by a number of rounds, and a passenger in the car with him was lightly injured. Shirazi was pronounced dead on arrival at hospital. Initial reports said unidentified assailants pulled up to Shirazi's car as he stopped at a red light on Moshe Sneh Street and, after shooting him, fled the scene. Police investigating the shooting say they are bracing for a possible upsurge in violence between rival organized crime groups. Israel has one of the highest rates of construction accidents in the West, according to a report released today by Israel's Economy Ministry and National Insurance Institute. Israel suffered 480 construction site fatalities between 2000 and 2015, ranking third behind only Cyprus and Portugal in the survey of 25 countries. Some 50,000 people suffered work-related accidents in Israel in the last year alone. Since 2010, these accidents have cost Israeli businesses over 24 billion shekels in compensation. The report was published after news last Thursday that a construction worker fell to his death at Kibbutz Ma'agan Michael in the north, the 12th work fatality of the year. 21 construction laborers fell to their deaths in 2015. The report's author cited the accelerated pace of construction, the failure of contractors to take work safety seriously, and weak enforcement as reasons for the disturbing figures. The nationwide strike by Israeli high schoolers continues with a change of tack. Starting today, the strike will rotate around the country to include 5 cities per day. Today, students in Ramat Gan, Ofakim, Yokneam, Rosh Ha'ain and Deir al-Assad failed to turn up for classes. The strike was suspended briefly on Thursday to allow students to mark Holocaust Martyrs and Heroes Day at school. The action was taken to protest a major strike by driving instructors and a partial strike by the teachers' union, which has seen the cancellation of extracurricular activities and field trips. Sadiq Khan was sworn in as Mayor of London on Saturday, becoming the first Muslim mayor of a British city after he received more than 1.3 million votes, ending the Conservative Party's 8-year hold on the British capital. His win gave a boost to the Labour Party, which has been embroiled for some weeks in an anti-Semitism scandal that led to the suspension of a number of party members and officials. Commenting on the controversy concerning his party, Khan said he has fought extremism all his life and regrets sharing a stage with people who hold such abhorrent views. In his first act in office today, Khan will attend a Holocaust memorial ceremony in London.
And my promise to you is this: I promise you that I'll always do everything in my power to make our city better. I will be a mayor for Londoners. Thank you very much.
The period between Holocaust Remembrance Day and Independence Day is considered by many to be the most emotionally charged of the Israeli calendar. Seeking to harness the positive energies of this time, the Ein Prat Midrashah is pushing to refashion the run-up to Independence Day as a national 10 days of thanks. Joining me now in the studio to talk about the campaign is Anat Silverstone, co-executive director of the Ein Prat Midrashah. Welcome, Anat.
Hi, Eli.
Do the Jewish people really need yet another holiday? What is the purpose behind this festival?
So as you said, these days are very emotionally charged, and we feel that these very meaningful days in our history are Israelis feel various kinds of emotions about it. Many Israelis feel very proud of what we've accomplished. Many Israelis feel guilt. We are trying to offer another kind of emotion to feel these days, the emotion of gratitude, the emotion of being thankful. We believe that our society is not grateful enough. We are a very critical, cynical society, which is important in a society like ours, but we don't experience enough gratefulness.
That's interesting. So how are you celebrating the 10 days of thanks? Have you created new customs or texts to mark the holiday?
First of all, as you mentioned before, we have our tradition offers us something similar. We have 10 days of repentance before Yom Kippur, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and of course 10 days of Todah, 10 days of thank you, very similar. In the 10 days of repentance, we say sorry. We think about what we did wrong, and we want to apologize and regret what we did wrong. And in these days, we want people to say thank you to each other. We want us to look around and see what in our lives we need to appreciate and to be thankful for. So how do we do that? First of all, in our community, in our midrashah, we dove deep inside the meaning of gratitude in studying in our Bet Midrash, and experience it in rituals, in praying together, in different ways of being grateful to each other.
Okay.
But also we're trying to spread it in Israeli society.
So on that note, I understand there was a meeting this morning with President Rivlin. How did that go?
That was wonderful, being our tradition being embraced by Israel's president. We met President Rivlin, and we told him about our initiative. He himself wrote on one of our boards. We spread more than around 200 chalkboards around Israel for people to walk down the street and just write on the board what they're thankful for. And that's what President Rivlin did today. He wrote on the board what he is grateful for, and he called out to Israel's to all Israelis to join him and to think what they are grateful for.
And can you tell us what the president wrote that he's grateful for? Is that confidential?
He was grateful for the people of Israel, that in spite of our very different opinions, we still work together and dream together of a good Israel for all of us.
Beautiful. So where do you see the 10 days of thanks going in 10, 20 years? Is this going to become an official holiday with the blessing of the President of the State of Israel?
I believe that's possible. I believe this is our fourth year in this project. We started out very small in our community, and now thousands of people are joining us, studying in schools. We see in the kindergartens and the schools people really experiencing the rituals of the 10 days of thanks, and we watch it spread And I believe that people will embrace it, because these days are so meaningful and so complicated for Israelis, and they are seeking for more meaning to spill into it, and more ways, more rituals to express what they feel in these days. And I think saying thank you is one of the best ways to do that.
Wonderful. So in that spirit, thank you very much for joining us in the
Thank you
studio
very much.
today. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Under a week to go till this year's Eurovision Song Contest, and the Israeli delegation is going out of its way to secure a spot on Saturday's coveted Grand Finals lineup, when performers are set to hit the stage in Stockholm, Sweden. IBA's Efrat Batat has the latest.
Israel's delegation arrived in Stockholm last week and has since then been feverishly rehearsing. Accompanied by a group of backup dancers and supporters, Chovistar is not only hoping, but genuinely working to show the world what dreams are made of.
Chovi is on stage. We want to invite all the audience, so we are using the cameras and the press to invite the audience inside the arena to sing with us, and we want to do a small rehearsal to see if it's working, okay?
Slightly earlier than last year, the first semi-final for Eurovision 2016 will take place this Tuesday, with the second following on Thursday, May 12th, when Israel is slated to compete. The 20 successful countries will join the Big Five and the reigning champions, Sweden, for the grand final on Saturday, May 14th. Fans, contest enthusiasts, and gamblers who understand a thing or two about the competition have already raised the Israeli singer's chances of getting closer to the top from the 26th place to the 10th. But despite the strong show of support, Chovistar is trying to keep cool and taking nothing for granted.
I always think everything is awful because I'm a perfectionist, and I think I always need everything to be on point. And I was surprised today. It's still not perfect, it's still not there for me the whole way, but I think that when the time comes, it will be perfect.
Results will be in Thursday night, when we'll find out whether or not we made it into the finals. The delegation hopes to give us all a nice treat for Independence Day, proudly waving the Israeli flag in front of millions of viewers worldwide, and, as they said, for the glory of the State of Israel. We wish them 12 points.
And while we still can't predict the results of the Eurovision Song Contest, here are 5 good things that should still make you feel proud and put a smile on your face. Israel has been ranked 4th best place in the world to raise children, this according to the most recent Internations Family Life Index. Something good is cooking. Israeli cookbook wins 1st place at International Food Writing Competition, considered to be the Oscars for cookbooks. Israeli film Sandstorm, directed by Elit Zekser, won the grand prize and $18,000 at the Jeonju International Film Festival, South Korea's 2nd biggest movie competition. In the field of sports, Israeli judoka Gili Cohen won the gold medal at the Judo Grand Slam tournament in Baku, Azerbaijan this weekend. And finally, there's an Israeli flag at the summit of the Annapurna 1 mountain in Nepal. Heroic mountain climber Nadav Ben Yehuda planted the flag at the top of the world's 10th tallest mountain, considered the world's most dangerous. Taking a look at local finance, and with no currency trading on Sundays, the shekel remains the same, while share prices on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange were down in trading. Here's a look at the numbers. In the weather, tomorrow will be partly cloudy with an additional rise in temperatures. Here are the expected highs and lows at home and abroad for the next 24 hours. And that's a wrap for today. Before closing, this quick programming note. There will be no IBA English news this Tuesday and Wednesday due to the screening of the names of Israel's fallen soldiers on Channel 33 as the nation marks Memorial Day. Make sure to tune in for a special Independence Day program on Thursday. Until then, you can join us again tomorrow for the latest news from Israel. I am Eilon Aslan Levy, wishing you a good evening and shalom from Jerusalem.